Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So it really is a great pleasure to be back for our TechTalk series. We started this a year ago, and it's been going well and going great. So we appreciate your presence here with us. We're very proud and honored today. In fact, we have Mr. Chief Executive Officer of MEDC, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, brought here with us Mr. Quentin Messer. He is the chair of the Michigan Strategic Fund. Quentin is charged with implementing and executing MEDC's core mission of business development and attraction, community development, providing access to capital, and enhancing Michigan's image and brand with a focus on building a strong and equitable economy for all Michiganders. His responsibilities include managing the administration of all programs, funds, personnel, contracts, and other administrative functions of MEDC. Quentin is a member of Governor Gretchen Whitmer's cabinet and serves on the board of the American Center for Mobility, International Economic Development Council, and Oklahoma University's Economic Institute, and is a member of the Michigan Council on Climate Solutions. I should say one thing here, actually the list is much longer than that. I just chose those of you from the long list, but we are very honorable to have Quentin with us today.
Well, thank you very much, Dean. I really appreciate it. First of all, I have to apologize. I was supposed to do this in April of last year. Was on my way here, and there was something on US 23 South. I couldn't avoid it, and I hit it. I thought I could avoid it. Got a flat tire, and I thought, well, I was about 5 miles away. So I said, well, I'm going to just drive it. I want to get there. But something told me, nah, don't do it. You don't know anything about cars. As it turned out, I destroyed 3 of my 4 rims in the car. So it would have been highly unstable for me to have gotten here. But I'm here now in repaired car. So I'm very grateful to the dean and everybody. Did you notice I wore my school colors for you? Hey. Dean, give it up for the entire team of engineering here. And before I begin, I want to shout out Sarah. Turn around, raise your hand. As if Sarah's one of my colleagues at MEDC. She has been instrumental in our work on broadband and cybersecurity. So I'm very grateful for her to come. So with the dean's permission, I'm going to go through the slides and open up for any questions if you will allow me to do so. So I really want to talk about what does this mean for the next generation of Eagle Nation. You know, the young men and young women who are undergrads or graduates here, or the young at heart like me. So let's talk about Michigan is about winning. I'm a huge sports fanatic. And so I first became aware of Eastern Michigan, to show you my age a little bit. A guy by the name of Charlie Batch, who, does anybody know Charlie Batch? You know, one of Eastern Michigan's greatest athletes. So that's when I first became aware, and then I now understand that you've got the phenom, Mr. Bates is going to be playing basketball for you this year. But Michigan is about winning, and Eastern is about winning. And so one of the things that I like to talk about is what can we do as policymakers in economic development to come along our higher ed community to win. And so this is just a fun way to show that Michiganders know how to win. And you can see, you know, the team championships from Eastern 3, this may need to be some updating, and then individual 12. And so this is just a way to frame what it means to win. So, as we all know, the world is different now than it was pre-COVID. We can talk about workers. Some of it is a function of we work remotely. The expectations of recent graduates are radically different. A lot of times people are asking about hybrid work environment, remote work. A number of you, if you are a graduate or undergraduate, you may work for a company that could be based in Singapore, but you will work here. Or a Michigan company may hire somebody, and that is in Ontario or California or Mexico or wherever. So we really, it is in an odd way, through all the tragedy, made the world very small. But it's also put a premium on the work environment. And let me tell you, you have a beautiful facility here, a beautiful engineering school. Small businesses. Some of you who are here may start and work for a big company, but you're not always going to work for a big company. You may decide, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go pay off my debt or save some money or do whatever I'm going to do. You professors who are doing research, you may want to spin out at some point. Dean earmarks on that. But the whole point is entrepreneurship is critically important. And supply chain. How many of you ordered something and it's taken longer to get it, whether it's a consumer durable like an appliance or a car or whatever? Frequently it's because of something about, as you would know, because you're engineers, semiconductor chip or some other part of the supply chain. So we now are very focused and understand the importance of supply chain. And in rule shifts, because of the tragedy of the pandemic, I think people realize that one of the special things about Michigan is that, people complain about the weather. I think that's the worst thing. I love the weather. I'm a native Floridian and moved up from Louisiana. 4 seasons is tremendous. But you can also get out, you can access a lot of water. There are anywhere in Michigan, you are 6 miles from some body of water. Think about it, a creek, a river, or a lake. And so you're seeing people begin to leave urban areas and move to rural areas for space, for serenity, for things of that nature, and that's going to be very beneficial for us in Michigan. So what are some of the challenges we have to address? I think the biggest challenge, and one of the reasons I try to come and spend time talking to folks at universities, is we have to win and retain those of you in the room. Those of you in the room have decided to spend at least 1, some of you 5 years here at Eastern Michigan, which tells me you kind of like Michigan, or at least you were tolerating, right? So the question becomes, how do we connect you to companies, opportunities, entrepreneurial or otherwise, here in Michigan? And we have to do that because we have to reverse the population trend. So this shows that in 1973, Michigan had 19 members of Congress. Today, Michigan has 13 members of Congress. So we've almost lost a third of our representation in Congress. You may say, big deal. Why does that matter? It matters because how many of you, if you're a graduate student, how many graduate students here? A couple, okay. How many of you are doing research that's funded from a federal grant? Any of you doing federal grant research, funded grant research? How many professors, any professors doing federal funded grant research? Well, it matters because when you don't have as many representatives, and we've got an incredible group of representatives, both Republicans and Democrats, you don't have the ability to maybe dictate as much investment as you ordinarily would to support higher education or research. The other thing that challenges industry shifts. Everyone's talking about the transition from the internal combustion engine to the electric vehicle or hydrogen fuel cell or other propulsion systems. It fundamentally is going to change Michigan. 1 out of 5 Michiganders somehow works in a sector connected to the automotive sector. And so it's critically important that we make sure that we have the wherewithal to compete in other propulsion systems. And I know you're doing research on that here. Climate change. I know some people don't believe in climate change. I'm not going to debate that, but I will tell you, extreme weather is real. I moved up from Louisiana, and the frequency of hurricanes is tremendous. We see forest fires not only out west, we see them in the UK, candidly. We see frequency of tornadoes. That has a big effect on where companies are going to locate. A number of you, I met 3 women who are getting their PhDs in cybersecurity. Where data centers are going to be housed is going to be really dictated in large part by the reliability of the electric grid. And it's hard to have a reliable electric grid in places where there are extreme weather. One of the challenges is relevancy. I say this because we have to make sure that we treat the needs and aspirations of Eastern Michigan and this community very differently than we would Michigan State in East Lansing, or University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, or Central Michigan in Mount Pleasant, or Northern Michigan in Marquette. So we have to make sure that we are developing tailored, coming alongside decision makers here to make sure that we're developing tailored opportunities and strategies for success. And then perception. I think there's some misperceptions about Michigan. It's old, it's only automotive, you know, the weather is bad, the sun never shines. I mean, there's all types of misperceptions about Michigan. And you, because of what you're doing here in this particular program, this particular school, are helping transform that. Let me speed up just a little bit. So there's some things that we have to do. We have to make sure that we compete more aggressively. We have a tremendous amount of transformational projects. Hopefully we can talk about some of those in the Q&A. And investment, I talked about federal spending. A lot of what you're seeing here, and a lot of the decisions you're seeing companies make is really a function of federal spending. Whether you're talking about the CHIPS Act, or the Inflation Reduction Act, or many other things, it's really a function of federal dollars transforming fundamentally the way we're going about and creating opportunities. So what does it take to be a champion? All of you are champions. If you're sitting in this room, you've gone through an engineering program, whether you're a first or second year, I'll tell you my story. I tried to be an engineer for 2 semesters. It was a disaster. Let me tell you, it was painful. I think the course that got me was like physics. I tried to block it out of my mind. Physics 203. I was going to try to become an electrical engineer. And I remember the professor just patting me on my head and saying, I think you may want to look at another major. So you're already champions in my book. Consistency. We have to make sure, as I talked about before, we keep opportunities and keep you engaged and interested in what we're doing here in Michigan. And physical and knowledge infrastructure. A big part of the future is going to be how we develop physical infrastructure, whether it's roads, bridges. How many of you are civil engineers? Any civil engineers in here? Critically important. We're talking about cybersecurity, knowledge infrastructure. So much of what's happening in the information flow is encrypted and secure, whether it's in the financial services sector, whether it's in the automotive sector. I had a chance to see the Roush lab, as well as some partnerships that you have with the American Center of Mobility. But the fact is, as you continue to, as automakers push updates, software updates, and we talk about autonomous driving, and we talk about driver-assisted driving, we need to make sure that we don't have nefarious attacks on our system. So it's incredibly important what you're doing here. So this is just some of the things that you should be proud of here in the state of Michigan. So we have wide-ranging high-tech support. We have a STEM internship programs. We have smart zones. We have small business development center tech team. So when you're ready to start your company, you have opportunities here at the state of Michigan looking to help you. We are seeking to cultivate a competitive business climate. Here are just some examples of companies that have hired interns. One in Dearborn, one in the UP in Holton, probably a spin out from Michigan Tech. SSBCI, this was an opportunity that is focused upon small businesses. Michigan was one of the first 5 states to receive that. This is another example of how the federal connects with state and local efforts to drive entrepreneurial and small business growth and development. So as I come to the close, I want to talk about drafting a talent powerhouse. If you talk to any business person, they will tell you the most, or one of the most important challenges they have is attracting and retaining talent. You are the #1 asset that any company is going to ever have. The human beings who go in and out or log in and out of the company. So here are some of the barriers we have to address. I talked about finding talent. We've got to get more people, particularly those who have been historically underrepresented, into STEM areas, into technology, whether it be women, Blacks, Indigenous, and people of color, whether it be people who identify through other sexual orientations, religious others, people who are first-generation college educated. We have to make sure that we help companies find that talent and then connect folks from those categories into opportunity, while also supporting cisgender white males and others who have historically gone through that. It's an all-of approach. We have to have people who want to retrain. We see increasingly enough people who sort of say, hey, look, I've done this. I mean, I can't tell you how many, I came from Louisiana, how many people were chemistry teachers who decided to go work for Dow or Monsanto or a chemistry or BASF and become a process tech because they can make more money. And so we have to make sure that we create a state of lifelong learners. We also have to make sure that we eliminate some of the barriers to people participating. Elder care, child care, mental health. Those are some of the things that we as policymakers have to think about to make sure that we have folks who are able to work for companies. So we have a team that's fully focused on that. We have a Chief Talent Solutions and Engagement Officer. These are some of the 4 things I can make sure and share these slides with anyone that's interested. But we understand that if talent is the #1 asset, we have to have someone that's focused on it. So we're on a journey to greatness. If any of you have played sports or a musician or a dancer or an artist, you understand that getting to the competition is a journey, it's a process. Getting to your PhD, getting that dissertation is a process. We have to make sure that we develop a moat not only around Michigan businesses, but we have to re-recruit members of Eagle Nation and let them know about opportunities here in Michigan. We have to continuously operate best in class. The same way your professors or instructors operate in best in class here, we have to do it at MEDC. We have to tell the Michigan story. There's so many wonderful things happening here in Michigan, happening right here at this university. We have to do a better job, come alongside of elevating the success that all of you are part of. We have to enhance our regional relevancy. This university is critically important to this community. I can't imagine this city without this university. And so we have to make sure that policymakers understand and come alongside and make this community continue to have those amenities that make it attractive for young people to want to spend 4 years. We have to be customer centric. My dad used to say that your customer is always right until you get a new customer. It's true. The best customer is the current customer. And everybody who's a businessman or businesswoman will tell you it's wallet share. It's hard to get a new customer. If some of you are probably taking business courses and you take a marketing course, you will hear about customer acquisition costs. And so to reduce customer acquisition costs, you try to increase wallet share. You've got the customer, they're buying this from you, you want them to buy X plus Y plus Z plus Delta from you. And then we also have to build our team, and I'm grateful that Sarah brought in that robbery to spend time and come. So we have to make sure that we win and keep Sarah, because Sarah probably got options. She's probably not going to tell me some of the options she got to go elsewhere. But we have to keep colleagues. You have to focus on people. You can have the best technology, you can have the best idea, but if you're not a good person, you're not going to be successful long term. You really aren't. And so I want to thank you. This is my personal information. We'll share the slides, and if the dean permits, I can answer any questions that folks have.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Messer. I think time for questions.
Maybe I board them into submission. Yes, sir.
So I have a question. So my name is Porter. I was with the Information University studying information assurance design. So my question to you is related to service question. So as an intern person going to the workforce, what are the areas in which like cybersecurity is needed the most at this point?
Oh my goodness. I think every area needs cybersecurity. Where do you want to start? I mean, you talk about, let me see if I got slides here. Probably don't have the slide I want, but look, I mean, we talked about transformative projects. Let's talk about sectors for cybersecurity. We can talk about financial services. So as we see more, cash, how many of you go, how many of you been to a McDonald's where there's no one there? You go, you punch in, and there's only maybe 2 people back there making the food, and you pay, and that's it, touchless. It's all cashless, all touchless. All that's cybersecurity. Here in Michigan, not only do we have great banks, we have banks like Huntington. I know it's been acquired and is headquartered in Ohio now. They have significant Michigan presence, but we have a lot of insurance companies, whether it's Jackson National or Auto Owners or Delta Dental. They're going to need folks who are focused on cybersecurity. We already talked about the automotive sector. GM talked about, Mary Barr, the CEO, said they were going to have to hire 8,000 software engineers. I would imagine some of those have to have some cybersecurity expertise as well to make sure that nefarious attacks, people can't come in. If we're continuing to get updates on our cars, you don't want somebody to be able to break into that and something nefarious. How about how many of you are wearing a wearable? Anybody wearing a wearable? No wearables? Yes, wearable. Hey, a lot of the information collecting is all encrypted, health information, whether you're diabetic, high blood pressure, whatever it may be. That's another area. And we have hospitals, we have what's the new name for Bowman Spectrum Health? I think it's Core Health? Corewell, that's what it is. Then I have a whole group, I'm sure, devoted to that. So I think the better question almost is, what sector isn't going to have cybersecurity? I mean, you're kind of in the catbird seat. Everybody wants somebody who knows how to protect information from ending up in the wrong hand. And I haven't even talked about the military. I haven't even talked about aviation. We have a number of airports. We're a major hub for Delta. So they have all types of protections to make sure that the software that the pilots use and reservation agents aren't going in other hands. So I don't think you're going to have any problems. I think the question for you is, what's the alignment of your purpose, your passion, and where you like to be? If I could give I'm 54 years old. I've got 3 children. And I always tell them, don't be so worried about the money. I know it's hard to say when you're young, because you're like, look, I'm trying to, hey, some of y'all are like this. But I'm gonna tell you, it's about relationships. Go where you get the love. If you interview with somebody and you're like, they seem kind of cold to me. Keep moving. Because somebody is gonna want you as much as you want them. That's where you go, and that's where you go. Yes, sir.
Can you explain your experience in corporate work?
Sure. I mean, I think I'll say three things. Look, my father said something. My father was born in 1937 in Jacksonville, Florida. Dark skin, segregated South. He had 10 sisters, no brothers. Abject poverty. Father had 3rd grade education. His mother had a 6th grade education. So I'm 2nd generation college educated. My father went to college on a band scholarship. And he ended up becoming a lieutenant colonel, middle school principal. But I say all that to say that he's deceased now, but he went through far more than I've ever had to go through. Yes, I'm not gonna be naive, race matters. But my father always said to me, if you look for it hard enough, you'll find racism. But I now tell my children, and I tell young people, use the fact that you're different to your advantage. I go in rooms, everybody remembers who I am. Because ain't nothing too many people look like me, right? So that's an advantage. Use it to your advantage. The second thing I would say is, not everybody is out here to hurt you. You in the broad sense. Whoever you consider yourself other, if you're a member of the LGBTQ community, yes, there's some nefarious people out there, but most people just want to get on and live their lives. And so as a person of color, I approach it that way. Most people could care less whether I'm black. In fact, some people just ignore black people. There are a lot of people who don't even, in their lives, don't even deal with black people. The first time they've ever dealt with a black person is they come to college. They ain't really thinking about black people. So you have to focus on those things you can control. And then the last thing I'll say is excellence matters. Just if you are good, nobody cares. You're good. I mean, and also the other thing is don't be afraid to be the first. So a lot of black folks, particularly black men, sometimes say, well, I don't want to go to this company or this situation because I'm the only one. Well, imagine if Barack Obama had said that. Imagine if Tuskegee Airmen said that. Imagine if Ronald McNair said that. Imagine, Mae Jameson said that. Imagine if, Condoleezza Rice said that. Imagine if Thurgood Marshall or Clarence Thomas or Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Somebody got to be the first. Why not you? So, those are my, and also I don't take it seriously. I could get a call right now. Thank you, Quentin, it's been fun. We move in a different direction. You can't have so much of your identity tied into who somebody else is. You just gotta kind of know who you are with yourself. You gotta have a family or friend network or a reference group. We were talking to the women who are PhDs. I said, y'all are posse. Like, yeah, we are. Well, they didn't say that, I said. But they were there mentoring a first year PhD student. I'm like, how cool is that? That young lady who's going to go through that as that first year, she is going to benefit from that. And that's the way you have to kind of think about your role. At least I would recommend that's the way you think about your role. Yes, sir.
Being done to bring manufacturing back to Michigan.
Oh my goodness, how many hours do we have? Look, I think there are three things. Let me see. So a couple of things. One, there are a lot of things, but let me summarize in three. One, we've got to do a better job of connecting talent with opportunity. So we're working more closely, Governor Whitmer, working with the bipartisan members of the Michigan House and Senate are creating more and more programs to make sure that talent like sitting in this room, is able to be identified by companies. We can have ongoing training for folks so that talent can be retrained and upskilled and continually aware of industry advances. So that's one thing. The second thing that we're doing is we're being much more competitive about what the market is doing. You know, I tell people all the time, I don't work in theory, I work in practical reality. And I'm a big sports fan. A lot of people don't like name, image, and likeness and transfer portal and all that. But if you want to compete, you can either say, I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. Well, then be prepared to lose. And so we have to understand what are those things that allow us to be competitive. Continued investment in higher ed, because you got to have the talent base and the research base. 2, you got to have investment in sites for those big industrial projects to go to. You got to have utility rates that make sense. You got to find renewable sources of energy, because increasingly a lot of advanced manufacturers are looking for clean sources of energy. And you also have to help de-risk the investment. Foreign nations have been investing in companies in particular sectors for 40, 50 years. There's a reason why we had to go and try to bring the semiconductor manufacturing sector back to the US. It used to be there. We stopped investing. Taiwan, China, other Asian nations predominantly invested in it, and now it's there. And going back to supply chain, we became reliant on folks that we had no real leverage over. So those are some of the things that we're doing to bring it back. But it's going to take time. And we also have to continue to make sure that we invest in ingenuity. We invest in creativity. Because at some point, right now, big transitions from ICE to EV, right? Or ICE to hydrogen fuel cell, or ICE to whatever it is. At some point, I believe we are going to live in the Jetsons world too. Some of y'all too young to even know who the Jetsons are. But if you just Google the Jetsons or YouTube, we're going to be in flying cars soon. I really probably be. Are we going to be somewhere with jetpacks on or whatever? I think I saw something during the auto show in Detroit with people on jetpacks going all over the city. That's going to come out of people's minds, and we have to continue to support that. So that's what we're doing, trying to create an environment where people want to be here. Let me go here. You had a question, then this brother right here. Right?
So what are you guys doing in terms of, I'm a sophomore.
Yep.
I'm also in cybersecurity. My name is Demetrius Shadows. And when I look at internships, a lot of the internships are in other states, in other parts of the country, or even in other parts of the state. And there's a lot of remote internships. And one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of students do a fully remote internship for, like, for example, the governments, and to either get clearance or similar things, but that's also money that's going from a person who's living in Michigan to another part of the country because it's all remote. So what, I wouldn't say to combat, what are you doing to incentivize working in Michigan in the tech industry?
So that's a great question. There are a couple of things, and I would love to follow up. And my information is here, or anybody is thinking about internships or whatever. A couple of things. There's a program called STEM Forward. It's through our partners at Ann Arbor Spark. Some of you may be familiar with that. I hope you are, because you're not that far from Ann Arbor. But Ann Arbor Spark is a regional economic development organization, and so they're working with companies in Michigan to try to make sure and provide internships to young people like you who are looking for them in Michigan. So it's Ann Arbor Spark. It's called STEM Forward. So that's one thing. 2, we have to do better. We have to make it easy for companies to identify and work with their HR and human capital team, their talent team, to publicize their internships. Because there are a lot of companies who may not be Ford, GM, Fokker, or Pfizer or Stryker, but they are 60 to 90 to 100 person companies who are great companies, great opportunities. But they're so busy running their companies, they haven't thought about an intern until the summer comes. They're like, oh my goodness, we could use an intern. So they call somebody cousin, or they call somebody's son, or something like that. So we have to make it easier for those companies to participate. This work that we have to do, please reach out to me. But again, STEM Forward is a program through Ann Arbor Spark that's providing statewide internships. We at MEDC provide financial support for that, and we're looking to grow that. Great question. You, young man, just have a question?
Yeah, so this is specific to my field.
Okay.
So recently, Congress passed the CHIPS Act, which is supposed to subsidize investment in semiconductor manufacturing. So actually, I was reading into it. I think Michigan lost a contract to this Giga Fab project in Ohio. I think Intel's building 10 fabs. So each fab costs $10 billion. So it's a $100 billion project. So, and I heard Michigan lost contract to that, which was supposed to bring 10,000 jobs, right? So I guess all the jobs go to Ohio. So my question is, I guess, what is state of Michigan doing, I guess, to invest more in that? Because I know this is connected to the supply chain issues. And of course, I can see like if semiconductors are being manufactured here in the Midwest, that would help with those issues. So what is Michigan doing to, I guess, get more of those opportunities back in the state?
That's a great question. I can't tell you exactly what we're doing because that would be revealing our plays to the opposition, right? There's a reason why, if you look at football, the coaches have their hands up to their mouth and they call it a play. But let me say three things. One, I just want to establish the fact that the opportunity, the Intel opportunity is 20 billion. So it's not 100, it's 20 billion. There's another opportunity in New York State that is allegedly 100 billion. We'll see if it ever gets to 100 billion. But we are competing very aggressively for that. So there are a couple things that we do. We have opportunities in the semiconductor sector through SK Citron in the Bay City area. KLA, which is right here in this area, not far, is a big part of the semiconductor ecosystem. And then we also have Hemlock Semiconductor. We don't have a semiconductor fab yet, but we're aggressively competing for those. I believe we're going to have our breakthrough soon. We're working that. So some of it's just you got to compete. You got to learn. You have to go through a process. Very few times do people win the first time they go after something. Those of you, a lot of you are too young, but Michael Jordan didn't become the GOAT. I loathe Michael Jordan, by the way. Parenthetically, I'm a Knicks fan, and my wife is from Chicago, so we fight about this all the time. But Michael Jordan had to get through the bad boys, Pistons, in the 80s. And he talks about the process of getting through it. He didn't get through the first time, he didn't get through the second time, he didn't get through the third time. And so that's where we are. It's a process to go through to be great. And so what we're doing, we're learning, we're getting better, we're competing, and I believe we're going to have a great year. The other thing is that we have to work better with institutions like here. So that when we're telling companies to come to Michigan, we can point to, here's a particular program here at East of Michigan. Here's a young man right here, and he's got 5 or 10 other classmates who are ready, willing, and able to come in and be contributors day one. We have to do a better job of telling the overall Michigan story. And then the absolute last thing we're doing to compete is we need to make sure that we maximize the conversation with our federal delegation. There's so many things that go into where decisions are made for capital allocations. And we have to work more closely with our members of Congress as well as our 2 U.S. senators, and we have great relationships. But we have to continue to do that in order to win. And I think at some point over the next 2 years, I'll be surprised if we didn't rank one of those. I would be very surprised. Be very disappointed. I'll be very surprised if we did. Yes. Sure.
For
And
I'm affiliated with the school through the Dean's Advisory Board. And I'm very interested in manufacturing overall. I have a long career in manufacturing. Early, and I listened to the students talk, and it sounds like they have a little bit of concern about what kind of opportunities are there out there for them. And what I'm seeing, certainly since COVID, is you can't hire enough people. I have a small plant outside of Lansing, and we're betting whether the person was going that we had scheduled to interview at 11 o'clock was going to come in or not. And then in my history, I can't imagine someone not showing up for an interview or calling saying, can I come on Monday instead of today? And that's what we're seeing. So the talent that we're trying to get is in a declining base, and graduates from this university are very well placed to have the skills and the labs available and be in demanding fields that are in demand to be able to do very well. So kind of looking at everything that you showed, I think they have a great chance to do whatever they want to do that they're passionate about doing.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, look, one of the things if I go back to I talked about what happened pre-COVID. A lot of people talk about unemployment rate, and that is critical. But the more critical question is the labor force participation rate, which means what's the universe of people looking for opportunities? And that is historically down across the country for a variety of different reasons. There are a lot of people suffering from long COVID, there are mental health reasons, there are elder care, child care reasons why people don't participate. All that's to say, this is a great time to be looking for a great opportunity in high-tech advanced manufacturing. You can almost name your price. I mean, think about it. Kevin is a very senior executive. He used to be at Ford, now is a very senior executive at another company. He's seeing that they're betting to see whether people show up. That's unimaginable. And so you really do, young people, have an opportunity. I will say this, one of the things that's critically important to make sure you do this is learn how to communicate without an electronic device. I know it sounds real crazy, but there are a lot of people who do not know how to write except in text form. That is just not the way the professional world works. And so I would encourage you, in addition to having all the technical expertise, people want to work with people that aren't difficult to be with. Now, you can be a difficult to be with person, and that's fine, but you better be brilliant. You better be Elon Musk, right? You better be that wickedly on a whole nother level. And so I think that this is a great time to really focus on deciding where you want to go. And you don't have to commit your next 20 years, but just 3 to 4 years. And then sort of seeing where it goes, and whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's mechanical engineering, whether it's engineering technology, whether it's electrical engineering, all the great programs they have here, there's going to be an employer. Don't worry about that. There's going to be multiple employers. And particularly if you know how to work with people, work in teams, you're going to be able to write your own ticket.
I'll just add one quick comment. MEDC has been very supportive to a lot of initiatives, and actually in this college, 4 years ago, we did receive $1 million from MEDC to support our cybersecurity program here. So we're extremely thankful to MEDC. The other thing is that there are a lot of things, a lot of information available actually in MEDC. I just published an article at Missionality, and MEDC helped me actually getting a lot of information about jobs in engineering and technology. I will just tell you this information, that according to at least the survey that was run by MEDC, there were about 19,000 jobs in Michigan, new jobs in Michigan in engineering and technology, computing, of course, the major component of that. And that was out of surveying the top 19 companies only, in which the total survey done. While I did the math, actually, all the universities in Michigan combined, all of us, there are about 17 of us that offer engineering and technology, small and medium and large universities, public and private. All of us combined offer only 7,000 graduates per year to the state and the county of the state. So 7,000. 7,000. And that tells you right there where, I think we need to continue to focus on by bringing more people into STEM disciplines. I think Kevin made a statement here because when he was board, was going to campuses trying to hire 40 female engineers, and he found only 4 coming to the interview. It tells you right there that you are in the right discipline by being in engineering and technology and computing, I should say. And I think MEDC is there by us. We're working together to make an economic impact. Lisa.
I just wanted to let you know, you name checked him earlier, but our alumnus, Charlie Batch, is on the Zoom call. So he's been listening to you the entire time.
Oh, my goodness. I'm a frustrated actor, so I'm a big fan of what he's done, not only on the gridiron, but what he's doing subsequently, and I look forward to meeting him at some point. So if you're on there, Charlie, hey, I remember what you've done, and thanks so much for being a great role model. So,
Do we have any online questions? We're good with online. I should
Oh,
say that
no.
we're,
Now that you said that.
now that I said that.
Oh, Charlie Batch says, great presentation. Thanks for joining us today.
okay.
Live. Any other last question? Yes.
It's more to do with the manufacturing and how you guys say that after, as we graduate, we have the opportunity to get jobs, but if there's the possibility of a recession within 6 to 9 months, how do we market ourselves as new engineers compared to people that have already worked in the field?
So that's a great question. Look, so I'm going to say, and all the adults, earmuffs, but when there is a downturn, typically what you'll see, and this is a generalization, but this is I think it's a rough term of art. When people look to reduce costs, it is not at the young end, it's older employees, typically are the ones who suffer. Because the belief is you start looking at people who are making whatever they're making. You may say, hey, look, they only have X amount of years. If the technology is changing, they're not going to be able to or want to adjust to the time. You're young, you're vibrant. We could maybe send you back to, support you on a master's or PhD. Talented young people never have a problem finding opportunities. I graduated from college in 1991. It was a bad year for college graduates. And I was an engineer. Remember, I told you, I had 2 awful semesters trying to become an electrical engineer. So I was a public policy major. I got a job in financial services and it was fun. Now, that presupposes, and I'm sure you will, because if you're subjecting yourself to listen to me for an hour, being focused, being prepared for interviewing, and all that. And the last thing I'll say is, in general, don't let fear of the unknown rip you. Because I've lived a little longer than you, obviously. And control what you can control. Which is, when you get an interview, do the best you can. Be your authentic self. Don't be somebody else. It'll work out. It may not work out with that first company, but it always works out. And that's something I can honestly say after 54 years, while roaming the earth, it does always work out. And so if you can keep that in mind, but it's going to affect people, but it won't affect recent graduates as much. Yes, sir, and then let me go here because you already had a question to come back to you. Yes, sir.
I noticed your slide with rural development. I noticed too that the road 75 is getting fixed up. That's way up. What has your organization done to consider opportunity or pursuing opportunity in young students?
Sarah's laughing because we spent a disproportionate amount of time with thinking about EMP. So I'll go to a state. I think I have a map of the state. So we divide two great peninsulas, 83 counties, into 10 prosperity zones. And UP is one of them. It's a third of Michigan's land mass with about 390,000 people. So we work in a couple of initiatives. We have a partner organization called Invest UP. So we want to see whether there's opportunities in mining that are as ecologically and environmentally sound. We're working with Michigan Tech because they have a vibrant tech ecosystem. We're working with agribusinesses because agribusinesses are becoming increasingly automated and mechanized. We're working with the forestry industry up there. I mean, also tourism and hospitality. There's an opportunity in UP for it to become a great test bed for outdoor recreation vehicles. I mean, there's no reason why Polaris, which is headquartered in, I think, Minnesota, why it shouldn't use UP for all its testing. And any other company that is looking to be an outdoor recreation. I mean, we have the terrain, we have anything you could possibly want, candidly, and there's some things that are in the works on that. So we understand the importance of making sure that we continue to give people reasons to consider UP. The other thing that we have to do is we have to make sure that there's reliable broadband. And one of the constraints, and Sarah has spent a lot of time on this issue, making sure that there's reliable broadband. Because there are a lot of people who want to work remotely because it's incredibly beautiful, all 4 seasons. But the broadband is tough, but we're building that out. Sarah's, Sarah, what's that office? The Office of High-Speed Internet or something?
We have the Michigan Office of High-Speed Internet, so that's a newly created office that we're looking at $1.7 billion for the state of Michigan to increase broadband to every single household, including everyone in the UP. So the UP is already getting a bunch of investment from some other federal grants. So when you talked about the federal delegation, that's why it's so important for Michigan to have that voice. We want to make sure we're capturing every single federal dollar that Michigan is eligible for in every aspect, and broadband is one of them. So we are putting fiber internet into areas that have never had internet. They've never had reliable internet. So now, if you want to live in Calumet, or you want to live in Iron River, and you want to stay there, you're going to have the infrastructure to do that. So it's a passion of mine. And the cyber side, we've also looked at Northern Michigan University. We have a cyber club there. We've done a lot of cyber programming up there, recognizing that these cyber jobs are something you can do in any city. So we want people, if they want to stay home, want to live in the community, they can and have the. So the UP, both my kids go to school at UP as well. So I make a lot of treks on that corridor, but it is a huge part of our economic development. And not just UP, northern lower as well. I mean, all of it's important, but the UP is special, demographically, rural. When we talk about diversity, we want rural people in that diversity of thought. We need people from every corner to be thinking about cybersecurity, because it's every single job. It's every single piece. Sorry, I get off.
No, that's exactly. Please preach, as they would say. Preach, sister. Preach. Anything else? Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I'm a board member of the cybersecurity club here at Eastern. And one of the things that I've noticed amongst my peers is that a lot of other students haven't found a mentor, really. So I went into this program And I was very excited. I was, okay, I need to find people who are gonna help me figure out, A, what I want to do, B, how do I get there, and then C, how to enjoy myself, you know? And so I've noticed, especially as I'm a sophomore here, I think on underclassmen, there's a lot of opportunities for upperclassmen to meet the employers and make those one-on-one connections. But when I look at employers, they're not as interested in us underclassmen, probably because we don't necessarily have the education yet, but there's a lot of very enthusiastic students who would do very well as long as somebody gave them an opportunity. And so what are you doing to, and I would love to continue this conversation as well, see how we can work together on this, but what are you doing to help with these students who really just need someone to talk to about these things?
So I think a couple of things is, one thing that you really should do is leverage your alumni network. It is, you know, sometimes employers, the people who come on campus sometimes are people who are overwhelmed, you know, they have got to do recruit. Very few companies send sometimes a lot of companies don't send the actual business executives to recruit. A lot of times they send a recruiter to recruit. And that man or that woman is getting like 20,000 resumes. They're just, I'm just trying to get through this, right? And they were hiring and they're thinking about, okay, who can solve my near-term hiring need? But the best time to seek mentorship, I would say, is now. I will tell you, the younger you are, it's easier to approach people who you maybe have never thought you could approach. It's probably easier now to approach, I'm going to name check Charlie Batch again. But it's probably easier to talk to Charlie Batch now than it would after you graduate. Because people are a bit more forgiving for young people, maybe not exactly having a clear idea of why they want to talk to you, right? And so that's one thing. The other thing is, human beings are remarkably egotistical. It's easy to find somebody who wants to spend 15 minutes talking about their favorite subject themselves. And if you can leverage that, then you can do that. And don't give up if the first person doesn't call you back in a week. I tell people all the time, believe it or not, people are busy. You know, I get 1,000 emails a day. So it's hard for me to be able to, in 24 or 36 hours or 48 hours, to answer your email. But I'll try to get to it, or I'll ask a colleague and the colleague help me out. But those are some of the things, but don't give up. Use your alumni network, you know, talk to some of the grad students, find out their experiences, particularly those that work in the industry, and then you'll find yourself naturally finding a group, a reference group, that posse.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think this has the last question.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting the hook.
Actually,
We're playing the Oscar music.
I actually don't have a question. It's more so kind of going on what we've been talking about. So I actually just had like I got denied for like one of the denied applications. I interned for them for 2 years, right? And I'm a senior right now. I'm also on my plans on the spring. And I'm about to graduate in the spring. I literally just now, as a student, I just got a call from GM to offer me the position for another job I just applied for. And so now I have a job for so I'm like, you know, it's just crazy that he was talking about like even certain companies, like you have like a one door closed on you and then you still keep, you know, because I kind of was like trying to figure out I co-op with DT as well. Actually, I currently co-op with DT, you know. But you know, I didn't actually line up for after graduation. I was banking on that GM job. And the one that I wanted didn't go through, but another one that I applied for, I completely forgot about, is actually a global after sales supply chain engineering role. And I mean, no, global sales. Yeah, global sales supply chain engineering role. So I just got the job and just didn't offer the letter. And it was a recruiter, like just a paid recruiter, they don't work with you. So everything you're saying is literally what I just went through right now.
Good. Give it up, congratulations. That is an example in real time. When somebody, I mean, I don't, I'm a Christian, so I'm not forcing that on anybody else. You know, everybody has to believe what they believe. But I've learned the hard way that you have to, you do everything you can in your control. Things work out. You may find that in this, you wanted this job, and somebody wanted you, God, somebody, whoever wanted you over here. That may be somebody over there in this new thing that you were supposed to meet. That's going to take your career somewhere that you never would have imagined. And I think that's what all of you have to think about. And that's just being, as I tell people tell me, just be a good human being. At the end of the day, just be a good human being. If you can be a good human being, things don't work out. It may not work out exactly the way you want. You may have some adversity. But if you're a good human being, it'll be good. You're a good human being. Look at that. You were like, oh man, how to find a job. Oh, have mercy. Swing low, sweet chariot. You know, and next thing you know, you sitting here, you got a call, you good. Just kind of, you know, help somebody else out and get you where you go. That's the one thing I ask you to do.
EMU.
There you go. There you gotta ask for business, Dean. Gotta ask for business. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.